Hey, what's happening, guys? It's Tyler from Unused Network, and today I'm going to be talking about all the unused and unreleased content from every version of Half-Life 1, including the leaked alpha. Here we go. Now, to get things started, I'll explain how the public was able to get their hands on an early alpha version of Half-Life 1. Back in late 1997, Valve releases some preview demo copies of Half-Life to print publications and beta testers. These discs for many years were kept from the public and were rarely discussed, but on December 31st, 2012, on Reddit, a picture of one of these early demo discs appears, and another picture was shown to have a lot of beta-related files. A few weeks later, one of these discs appears on eBay, and it actually ends up selling for $709 on January 15th. Eventually, one of these discs' files were put on Reddit, and everybody could download them. Other files included on the disc include different drivers for late 90s graphics card, an HTML file that was supposed to provide links to different press releases about Half-Life, but all the links are dead, promotional videos, a bio about most of the major employees, screenshots, and typed explanations about the new features of the current Half-Life engine. But of course, the most important feature was all the actual playable game files. And within the playable files includes a very early version of the Gold Source engine, which appears to be more like the Quake engine than anything else. In fact, it even uses the original menu and UI system found within Quake. The only differences being is that the icons are either broken or unfinished. There are very early single-player levels that span throughout the Half-Life campaign. While some of these things were later reused in Half-Life, a lot of them remained cut forever. It includes early versions of NPCs such as the scientists and Barneys, and early enemies such as the head crabs, the bull squids, and the hound eyes. The only weapons available to be used in this demo are the pistol, SMG, and crowbar, and there is no real weapon select screen. You actually just have to type in impulse to be able to get those weapons to work, and they all have unlimited ammo. Within the demo are 4 full cut chapters of a single-player campaign, beginning with the portal device. Now, the portal device itself was supposed to be the original opening to Half-Life 1. Instead of a resonance cascade that was caused by the player itself, the beginning of the story was supposed to be implied and was supposed to start with the fabric of space-time was supposed to crack, and all the aliens from the border world Zen was supposed to come through the crack. In the beginning of the portal device in the demo, however, you start out in a large scientific room with a scientist freaking out and an unused enemy seen behind a cage. This unused enemy was called the Panther Eye, and it's not seen anywhere else within the campaign levels of this demo, and is never seen again in any of the Half-Life 1 campaign. Now, sections of the portal device chapter itself play more like unforeseen consequences. However, sections of it were later reused in Office Complex. The second chapter seen within this game was supposedly supposed to be the third chapter of the entire game, called the Security Complex. This chapter was almost entirely cut. However, there are some portions of it that would have later evolved into other little corridor sections of Half-Life 1. An interesting tidbit about this section is that flash grenades are hinted in a level editor if you open up the map C1A3B. There is a drawer with a little development note saying flash grenade here. Flash grenades are not seen in the files, and flash grenades were never seen in the files of the retail version. After the security complex comes the Alien Research Lab, which was supposed to come much later in the campaign. This chapter's basic ideas would later evolve into the chapter Questionable Ethics. However, none of the level's geometry was later used in any of the retail Half-Life campaign. Certain ideas such as grunts behind glass containers and different laboratories being color-coded were originally found here, although none of the levels that actually display those ideas in the demo were later used in the retail version of Half-Life 1. Lastly, after the Alien Research Lab comes the Communications Center. Now, all of these things were cut from the retail version of Half-Life 1, although a lot of them were reused in the official Half-Life demo, Half-Life Uplink. The player was supposed to set a communication satellite to the right location so other areas could be able to communicate with Black Mesa. A large story element that was cut from this chapter but is not actually seen within the demo files is that a female scientist was supposed to betray the player after he aligns the communication satellite. This idea was later reused in both Half-Life Decay and Half-Life 2. After the campaign levels are finished, there are other maps seen within the demo version of Half-Life 1, including a tech demo, which was supposed to show the player all the new features that Valve had added to the Quake engine since they started working. These new features include scripted sequences, skeletal animation, and different effects that could be applied to sights and sounds. Also included in this demo is an early version of the Half-Life Deathmatch multiplayer map, Stockyard. This map is actually somewhat unfinished, and the multiplayer functionality of this engine is very, very primitive. All these files are available to be downloaded, and the link is in the description to anybody that wants to try it out for themselves. But other than the leaked version of Half-Life 1, there are other versions of Half-Life that were released before the original release of the retail version that has other unused content. First is the Half-Life Preliminary Findings disc. This disc did not include any playable files, but instead include gameplay screenshots and gameplay videos alongside some interviews with the people that worked on the game. And most notably, in the videos of the interview for Jay, you can see an animation for an early version of a spray, and an early version of the section of Half-Life that included a slippery floor. In the interview for Ken, there shows early animations for the scientists, and on these scientists are early designs. Other than the Preliminary Findings disc, there's Half-Life Day 1, which was an OEM demo given out to graphics card users for free. Now, Half-Life Day 1 actually uses an earlier build of Half-Life than was actually seen in the retail version. In this version of Half-Life includes an early long jump module, an early battery, an early HUD icon for the RPG, and the trip mine uses the E3 1998 view model. It is also worth stating that Half-Life Uplink itself contains a completely cut chapter that was supposed to go between Lambda Core or Forget About Freeman. This demo was given out for free to anybody online, and it was supposed to be the chapter that was seen in the Communication Center in the leaked beta. Alongside all the early versions of Half-Life 1 that were released or leaked, there is actually a lot of unused files seen within the retail version. Most importantly is Ivan the Space Biker. Found within the original Half-Life file model folder is a model called Dr.MDL. This is actually the original player model, or the original version of Gordon Freeman himself. He was given the nickname Ivan the Space Biker because of his original blocky appearance and more grizzled features. Other leaked files include a 20mm cannon, which was an unused weapon given to an unused enemy called the Human Sergeant. It was more like a heavy machine gun that had spin-up time. Some unused enemies found within the game's files include an Archer, which is a small shark that would launch enemy bolts, a Charger, which is found in the Half-Life SDK and has no actual AI, the Flocking Floater, which was described as a living balloon and was supposed to appear in the Zen chapters, the Kingpin, which was a tall enemy that was supposed to have a brain fill its entire body, Mr. Friendly, which was supposed to be the size of a small horse and moved very awkwardly and made a sound similar to fingernails on a chalkboard, the Snap Bug, which was supposed to be a bug creature that was around the size of a head crab, the Skunk Bat, which was supposed to be a six-eyed bat creature that would have been flying around in open spaces, the Chum Toad, which was a projectile that could be thrown and was later seen in Half-Life Blue Shift, and the Yellow Boyd, which was a yellow version of the Boyd that was supposed to be the leader of an entire Boyd flock. Other unused concepts include power-up canisters, which were 3 different canisters that appeared to look like batteries that gave the player special conditions. These canisters were Adrenaline, Antidote, and Radiation. Adrenaline was supposed to increase player speed, Antidote was to be able to negate a poisonous effect that was also unused, Radiation was supposed to give the player a short period of time of radiation immunity. Another unused item was Scuba, which was supposed to give the player the ability to breathe underwater for up to 2 minutes. Another unused weapon includes the Silent Pistol, which was actually just a silencer that you could apply to the pistol, and alongside the model for the silencer is included an animation of the player attaching the silencer. An unused NPC called the Construction Worker, which was really just a reskinned Barney, an Emergency Flare, which was an unused item that was later recycled in the Half-Life 2 episodes, an F-117 Nighthawk, which was actually a stealth plane that was cut in the early stages of Half-Life's development. There was an early version of the HEV charger seen within the files, a security card which was supposed to unlock doors in a similar manner that older FPSs would have key cards and keys to unlock doors, an unused weapon called the 0-point generator, which is actually only mentioned a few times in the game's script files, an isotope box, which was an ammo type that was supposed to hold a lot of uranium, and lastly, a box of bullets, which was supposed to hold a lot of heavy chain gun ammo for a weapon that never made it in the game. But anyways, that was all your unused content from Half-Life 1. If you like this video, please click the like button, subscribe, favorite, comment, do all that stuff. You know I love it, and it really helps me out. So thank you for watching. I love Valve. Valve is very much my life. If you want to see me do a stream of all the leaked and unused content of Half-Life 1, I'm totally going to do it. Go check out my second channel, Valve News Extra. Link is in the description. But as you know, I'm Tyler McVicker. This is Valve News Network.